Yes, what's happening, people? Here we go. It is that time of the week, not only for the best show that is seen on football YouTube, but of course, it is Derby week. So it is Tottenham versus Arsenal preview. We're streaming live both on Holly's Hotspurs and Albert J TV as well. Just before we get cracking, though, I want to say a huge apology to everybody for us being for the best part of half an hour late. I say apologize, I'm apologizing on behalf of everybody, but it's none of our fault. Okay, we are 100% blaming Holly for the platform that she is using because we had so much difficulty trying to sort out the stream. But as you can see, I'm joined by two fantastic people to preview the best derby, of course, that the Premier League has to offer. So, Nelson, how are you, my man?
I'm feeling good. Happy to be back. Happy that we're just live and ready to talk North London Derby. Let's go.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the man, the myth, the legend that is Uncle Albert. How are you, big dog?
Yeah, I'm all right, Wes. Now that we're actually live, I've never had this kind of delay. I don't think I've had this delay with trains, with car, any car issues. Yeah, Wes, I 100% agree with you. I said to you before we went live. I'm gonna 100% throw Holly under the bus. I don't care if she's in Greece, Turkey, wherever she's having a holiday. This is her fault why we're late. So I'll be having contract talks with Holly when she comes back about our future and collaborations. Wes, I'll be honest.
Yeah, I think I might have to have a word as well, to be fair, because we can't be going through this every time that Holly potentially is not around. Um, and as you can see, boys and girls, I'm outnumbered because I've got two of the other side of North London joining me tonight. But, gents, we're going to get into it. How are we feeling coming into Derby week? Obviously, international break's over now. And so,
Oh God.
yeah, full attention is now shifting on North London Derby. Albert, I'm going to start with you. How are you feeling coming into Sunday?
I think break is the key word to be honest with international break because yeah, listen, we've had this for quite a long time talking about international breaks, various parts of the season, but it's a weird one coming to Derby, Wes, man. As Nelson knows, Arsenal got some interesting selection dilemmas going into Sunday. So a lot of Arsenal fans have been to and froing who's going to start, and and you know what? It's not even. Well, we know Declan Rice was suspended, but I look at it and Wes, I'll be honest, I'm not even really sure if we've got anyone really coming back or available to be fit come Sunday. So there's lots to talk about, man. But it's a weird one where I don't really know how I'm feeling yet, if I'm going to be really, really honest.
No, fair enough, fair enough. And Nelson, as Albert said there, you've got a few injury worries and concerns. Does that now change your thinking going into Sunday's game at all?
Yeah, it does change it quite a bit. I think last week when me, you, and Holly were discussing, Declan Rice's red card, my kind of feelings going into the derby was that I was still feeling okay with the absence of Declan Rice.
Mhm.
But then, yeah, as Albert says, break and hearing the news of our captain going down, I think is a big blow. Just because of how we play, and I think we identify ourselves around Martin Odegaard. He is the linchpin, the centerpiece of Arteta's revolution at Arsenal Football Club. So, yeah, my feelings going into this game, I'm a bit more worried than I was probably 2 weeks ago. If you had asked me 2 weeks ago, I was feeling very confident heading in. But now with the international break, I'm not feeling as confident just because I'm unsure of how Arteta's going to, it's a really big selection dilemma for him. Who is he going to choose to replace Odegaard, who he puts in that position? So we've seen it a couple of times from last season. Albert knows as well. We have our squad. I feel like Arteta has his 11. However, when he has made changes to the squad and tweaked things, we don't really look the same. So hence why I'm a bit worried about Sunday. But we'll see how it goes. We know the form goes out the window, so let's see how it goes.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think, from a Spurs perspective, obviously shame that you got these injuries. But yeah, I think it's almost a little bit like role reversal because obviously before the international break, we had a couple of players out through injury, and it looks like they should be available for us on Sunday, the likes of Dom Solanke and Mickey van der Ven in particular, and everybody knows how key Van der Ven is to the way Tottenham play. I think, Nelson, we went through it last week, and actually I felt that Radu Dragusin actually had quite a good game against Newcastle. Wouldn't have him at fault for any of the goals or anything like that. And actually think he's a really, really sort of underrated defender as well, and one that gets missed amongst the Tottenham fan base. So yeah, I am very much looking forward to the game. Of course, it's Derby Day. It's the one you look for in the calendar. But gents, we do have this interesting kind of feeling around it, because usually the first game is at the British Library, sorry, the Emirates. And then the return fixture is a lot later in the season at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Do you think that's going to affect things from from that kind of perspective, if that makes sense? Nelson, I'll come to you on that one.
I think from an Arsenal perspective, I think it's great. Simply because I always hate the fixture list when it was always released before the start of the season, and seeing that we'd always have to play you guys first at the Emirates. But I think the way our season might go, I think heading towards, crunch time as well, in the new year as well, I think it will be very important to have those home games in our favour. So I think playing you guys in reverse fixture at home, rather than playing it now, I think will actually benefit us. So I think the players are not worried. Us as fans were probably slightly worried, but I think the players' mindset is that they're going to go for it. As always, Arteta's going to get them pumped. So I don't think it changes anything in regards to how we're going to approach the game. But I think it, from my personal opinion, I think it actually benefits Arsenal heading into the season for the long run.
No, it's interesting you say that. Albert, are you in agreement with Nelson there, or have you got something different?
No, I'm in agreement, because obviously, Wes, when you when you're going for a pursuit of a league title, which I know obviously your club doesn't really thought about that for quite a long time. Yeah, it's to me, look, I've always looked at this fixture. Obviously, the last couple of years, Arsenal have gone and done the business away from home, which was really frustrating. But deserved to win last season, the season before. I did, like I said to the first part, I do go into it a little bit unsure just where Arsenal are going to go in terms of team selection. There are a couple of players I'd give an opportunity to, but I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit later. But it's always a big game. Doesn't matter when it is it's beginning of the season, whenever it is. I see people frown around, is it a bigger game for this club? I'm thinking, look, fourth game of the season in, you want to beat your rivals, be the first game of the season, last game of the season, middle of the season, whatever it is. But I reiterate again, even at this early point of the season of where Arsenal's journey is and where they actually want to go, the end destination, the only option is 3 points come Sunday. It is as simple as that.
Yeah, no, I think it's obviously it's a key game for both, but I think it's one of them because, as you said, Albert, it's so early on in the season. It's usually a little bit later or a couple more games down the line where we get the first one. I think because this one is so early, it's almost like, okay, I wouldn't say either team can afford to lose this game, but I wouldn't say it's almost like the end of the world. Like, there's a lot more football that's going to be played between obviously now and the reverse fixture. So you would like to think that if it doesn't go the way of either team, they've got that ability and capability to bounce back in games afterwards. And I think obviously the games are coming sort of thick and fast, obviously with Carabao Cup fixtures, European fixtures coming into play in a couple of weeks as well.
Wes, I'll tell you something, mate. I'm in a couple of Arsenal group chats of various different ages. Believe me, it will be under the world if we don't win on Sunday. I'll tell you that for free, man. I'm telling you, because it's like I said, because obviously what's happened the last couple of years with Arsenal, and even at the stage it is this early this season, like obviously the game we've got after we've got you, is quite an important game as well. Arsenal, we cannot afford to let up, man. It's that simple, And I said to a couple of my people, Nelson, I don't know what you are in terms of like group chats or where you are, but people asking about obviously this game and the next game after that. I think if I'm going to be really, really honest, Arsenal needs to take minimum 4 points out of 6.
I agree. Yeah,
minimum. But they need to win. We need to win, man. Is that simple?
Yeah, I think Albert, if Arsenal have their so-called first choice midfield, I think Spurs fans go into this a little bit more cautious. And I think also given the way the last 2 games have gone at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, where the first one where you beat us 2-0, it was like our performance absolutely stunk the place out. It was like men versus boys. And then last year, it was like we had a bit of an explosive start. Arsenal weathered that storm, and then we stunk the place out for an hour, and then decided that we wanted to play from about 70 minutes onwards and have a bit of a go of it. And Romero thought he was our new centre forward. So I think Spurs have a little bit of a point to prove in the sense that we have to put right what happened in the last 2 seasons. And actually, I think if we were to get not only just a win, but a positive result, I think, our record against top 6 sides in the last few years isn't great either. So I think just for psychologically for the Tottenham players and in the Tottenham camp, I think a positive result would go a long way.
Wes, quick question. I'm not speaking to you in time, man. Ages but
yes.
What's the general mood of? I'll be and Nelson will this conversation, but what's the general mood with the Tottenham fans in terms of how your transfer window went?
Mixed, I would say. I think there's a camp that are really happy with the business that we've done, not only getting players in but getting players out. But I know there's a lot that have gone, okay, we've done some okay business, but we still feel like we're short. And I think that is always a Tottenham problem and a Tottenham issue, is that we're always 1 or 2 players short of doing something remarkable or spectacular. Even from my point of view, I think we're short at the back defensively. I think especially left-sided.
Yeah.
If we're to get an injury to your doggy, for example, and maybe Van der Ven, then we are ridiculously short. And obviously we have more games this year with the Europa League as well. So it'll be interesting to see how Ange manages his squad. I think with those extra games, I would have liked to have seen some of the younger centre backs or defenders that we've got at the club. Someone like Ashley Phillips, for example. I'd have loved for him to stay and get some minutes, perhaps in the Europa League. I think some of our fixtures in the Europa League are really favourable, where we can afford to chuck in an 18-year-old centre back to see what he's got and see what he's about. But obviously he's gone on loan to Stoke, who are well known for their attacking brand of football, especially in the last 5 years. When their best finish was like 16th in the Championship. So it's an interesting one. I think it obviously just depends who you speak to in terms of how they feel the transfer window's gone, because like I say, it's very split down the middle.
See, yeah, that's interesting. Awesome to get your thoughts, man, because obviously with Arsenal's window, it's a weird one, man. I'll be honest, sort of coming into the window, I wasn't sure what Arsenal would do, man. I know what I wanted them to do, but it didn't really go how I thought it would go, man, if I'm going to be honest with you. I think we're short, Nelson, if I'm going to be really honest. I've watched a few Arsenal podcasts and people giving it sort of rankings out of 10. Someone said 8. I'm like, I must be looking at a different window because I don't know where you got the 8 from. But I think the reason why the particular person said that was because of the outgoings, because there's no way you could have given that Arsenal window, for me, anything in a 7 or 8 without the outgoings, because to me it just wouldn't have made sense, because I still think we needed someone at the top end. Arsenal did want a striker. I want to know what your thoughts were, Nelson, in terms of how you felt about the striker. Was that more of a necessity than the midfield player, or more of a necessity for the midfield player than the striker? What's your thoughts?
I think the way that we ended last season's title challenge, I think Arteta was probably very pleased and probably knew heading into the transfer window that squad depth was very key, and hence why he's bought players like Calafiori, who is very versatile. I think from a general fan perspective, I think you can definitely give the transfer window low grade, and I don't think it fulfills our needs of who we, and we believe that we really need a striker, and I do think there was a striker out there to get, but obviously the market is so small now for strikers nowadays. However, I think when you look at it from an Arteta perspective, I think if you really focus it and look at it from an Arteta perspective, I think he's very happy with his window. Hence why when I think Wes had asked a couple of weeks ago how I felt about the transfer window, I felt as though there was no more signings just because from the fact that there was no more strikers kind of available, especially when you've got strikers like Osimhen, who is ridiculously priced out. I think Arteta's perspective, the way he viewed it, I think he felt like he had a successful window. Now, I don't think anybody knew that Raza was going to come and join us on the final day. That kind of changes things as well, because we know how he has been under Arteta's wing at Man City. So who knows what that could be like for us. But I think from Arteta's perspective, he would probably give his grade like kind of a B plus or an A minus, because I think he has increased the squad depth. But he probably didn't factor in the fact that, Odegaard would have been injured this international break, or, these are things that I think he didn't take into account. So I think it's really killed us now when we look at our squad depth and who can come in, especially for this big game that we've got, and we need to get the 3 points that you mentioned. So I would say it's been a mid window, very mid.
No, Wes, I know you're going to crack on some more. Quickly, Wes, just want to ask you, what are your thoughts on signing Solanke?
Yeah, jury's out for me on Dominic Solanke. I've said that numerous times. When people are asking me about a centre forward, it's like, yeah, we need one, and then it's like, who do we go and get? But then you want to spend 65 million on a striker who had a worldy season, like one worldy season. So the jury is massively still out for me on Dominic Solanke. Like, are we going to take the fact he scored 20 goals for Bournemouth last year in a side that changed their playing style as a good thing, or is it a freak season? Because breaking down his goal record, it's not great, and people will go and will argue, well, he's been in a struggling Bournemouth side, but you go, yeah, but there have been other strikers who have been in struggling sides that you would probably more likely go yes to, like in the past.
Yeah.
But I think the market in general this year was really poor, like across the board. So yeah, I think it was just one of those where I'm not 100% sold. Like, I wasn't absolutely buzzing that he's walked through the door. The one that I was pleased that we did sign is Wilson Odobert from Burnley, believe it or not. Because I think he's going to offer us something completely different to our wide players, and I think Spurs fans have seen already flashes of what he can do, and I think the fact that he's able to go both ways, he's really direct. I think will be key for us and key for Ange in terms of the way he wants to play and things like that. So yeah, Odobert was the one I was buzzing for, but yeah, Solanke I'm not sold on just yet.
Come in, Wes. Come in. What are you going to say?
I was just going to obviously ask you guys about team selections. How we seeing Pep's Coneboy lining up on Sunday. Nelson, I'll come to you first.
I really don't know. I think all Arsenal fans are going to be waiting an hour before kickoff to see who he's going to put out, because we know what we need at the end of the day, and I think he just needs to pick the right balance that's going to beat Tottenham. I think he'll probably have a look at, he's probably looked at the drawing board and think, okay, we've got to do this to beat Ange. And I really don't know who he's going to bring in. I think with Calafiori injured, I think at left back, you're looking at someone like Jurriën Timber coming in. I can see him starting, and I'm glad he's come back fit after the international break. The only problem is, as Albert will know, is in midfield. The fact that you've got the captain out, you've got Declan Rice out. Who do you bring in there? Thomas Partey obviously will likely start, because it's always been a midfield three of him, Rice, and Odegaard. And I really don't know. I think you look at Trossard, and you look at the fact that Trossard could slip in that Odegaard position on the right-hand side. Another wild card I'm going to bring out that I don't think Arsenal fans actually have been talking about in that left centre mid position is Zinchenko. Now, I don't like him as a left back, in my opinion. I don't like him at a left back, and I've seen him play for Ukraine in that left centre mid position, and I think he works so much better as a left centre mid. I think there's more freedom to roam forward. And it doesn't really help that we've got some rid like Fabio Vieira, because that could have been very helpful as well for us. So
even he's injured, Nelson.
Even he's injured. Wow.
Yeah, he's got a fire issue. Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Albert, I honestly don't know. That left centre mid is going to be tough, because I look at it in the sense that obviously a wild card is Zinchenko, but I see it in the sense that Partey will probably sit deep. You're looking at Trossard that will probably replace Odegaard, in my opinion, and then I think Havertz will probably have to drift back and play in that left centre mid role. And then you're looking at up top who you're going to play. You could see a Martinelli and Saka playing, but who's going to play down the middle? I can see Raheem Sterling starting. As much as it is, I can see Raheem Sterling starting on that left-hand side, and that could mean Havertz could go up front or Trossard in the middle. But what about you, Albert? What are you thinking? Because I really don't know what's going to happen. Spain, when that hour hits, 1 hour before kickoff, I'll be interested to see. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, before the international break, the break being the key word. I was always kind of set on Martinelli would come in, because with Trossard, there's an argument between Arsenal fans that he's better coming off the bench than he is starting, because he was poor the other day against Brighton. He's really poor against Brighton, actually. So Martinelli would come in, but then I thought, if Sterling's obviously, if he's fit enough and ready, then he start. But I thought about it more today, and I looked at it and I thought, obviously, Rare in goal, White, Lieber, Gabriel, Timber, Partey, Jorginho, Saka, Havertz. I would start Sterling, and you know what? I don't know if many Arsenal fans have said it, because obviously missing Odegaard is going to be a massive miss. They're talking about for like 3 or 4 weeks, and I hope it's not longer. But listen, if you want to give Nwaneri a start, then I actually think this is the game to do it. If I'm going to be really, really honest, because you've got the physicality still in there with Jorginho and Partey, and you've got Saliba and Gabriel. Ben White's obviously he's something housery. So you've got the guys to look after him in the team. So I would start him, Nelson. I don't know if any Arsenal fans have been saying that or are on board with it, but he would just give us that little bit of an X factor that we don't have with Martin Odegaard missing. But what do I know? I'm not a manager, am I? So we'll see.
It's interesting you guys kind of mentioned that. I mean, I was under the impression that Jurgen Timber was injured as well. So to hear that he might potentially be playing is an interesting one. I know he's also done a job in midfield in his Ajax days. I think he's played across obviously the back line as well for Ajax as well. But yeah, I think my understanding was, well, my thinking of your midfield three was probably Partey, Jorginho and Odegaard. And now Odegaard's injured, I personally see Havertz dropping in. Whether Jesus is fit or not, I don't know. If he is, I assume he'll start through the middle, but
probably not.
He's probably got a worse injury record than Richarlison, to be honest. Jesus, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I saw he's missed. I think they say 28%. They said I think he's missed or something like that.
Yeah,
which is quite a lot of games. Quite a lot of games when you think about it. So yeah, it wouldn't shock me if Arteta kind of goes with a false nine. Maybe Trossard or Sterling as that one through the middle, and obviously have your Saka and Martinelli on either side. So there's be a lot of pace in there, which you should like, because we defend on the halfway line, so that lovely green grass in behind is going to be an interesting one. Going to be an interesting one, but obviously we've got Roadrunner at the back, so he should be able to keep up. But no, I think it's going to be an interesting one from a Spurs point of view in terms of how we set up.
Yeah.
Not to combat you guys about, because I don't think we are really about that. But I think the back five kind of picks itself with like Vicario, Porro, Romero, Van der Ven and Udogie. I think I would have Basuma in there I think since he's been a naughty boy, he's come back and been absolutely brilliant, and a player that we have missed. I think then his relationship with Sarr in the midfield is crucial, and I think they complement each other quite well. But I was on another podcast the other day, and someone convinced me that Rodrigo Bentancur's got to play just to control the midfield a little bit. So I'm going to stick Bentancur in there, and I would actually have Kulusevski in midfield as well, because I think he's done really, really well when he's moved inside, in comparison to James Maddison, who I think's form has dipped and absolutely fallen off a cliff since his injury last season. And then front three, I'm going with Odegaard, Solanke and Son in there, with then Brennan Johnson's pace to come off the bench and make a bit of an impact. So yeah, I think obviously everybody knows by now how Tottenham are going to play. We're going to have our fullbacks really, really high, try and overload the top end of the pitch, and then look to get crosses into the box as often as we can. So yeah, fingers crossed that we can do something on Sunday. But boys, it is now time to talk FPL, because Holly will 100% tell me off if we don't talk FPL.
When she's not in a position to be telling anybody off at the moment, to be honest, mate.
I mean, I know, but we've got to do it. I don't want to get in trouble as much as it is. Now, Nelson sent me his team, what he's looking like is going to happen for him. So, Nelson, do you know your team off by heart, or do you want me to go through it with you and get your thoughts behind it?
I've got it with me if you need
yeah, talk us through your team.
Cool. So I've got Henderson in goal. He's got a really good game against Leicester City, so I'm hoping that. I mean, Leicester have probably conceded, I think, top 3 in terms of most goals conceded. So I have a feeling that Leicester Palace could get a clean sheet there. So hopefully that could get me some bonus points. I got a back 3 of Robinson against West Ham. You got Andy Robinson against Nottingham Forest, and then I got Rico Lewis, who had a great game for England. As well. So I've got them as a back 3. I think Robertson takes corners for Liverpool. So I had the decision between him and Trent is always going to bomb forward and always look to create something. But the fact that Robertson's on corners, I think that's why I've gone for him. And he's also a cheaper alternative. I've got a midfield 5. Okay. So I've got Morgan Rogers. I've got KDB. I've got Eze. I've got Minter. And I've got Mohamed Salah. And I've gone for these 5. I think all of them will bring something different. Morgan Rogers, I can't even say his name. Morgan Rogers at a cheap price, I think could do well against a leaky Everton side. And we saw how bad they were against Bournemouth. So I do back him to finally get his first goal of the season. KDB, I'm not sure how Pep will look to rotate, obviously with Champions League coming up. But I think De Bruyne had a great return on fantasy against Ipswich 2 weeks ago. So I back him to get another home start, hence why I've gone for him. Eze, I mean, this guy is the guy. I mean, this guy, Mandem FC, linking up with Eddie Nketiah. You know what it is. I can't really say much about him. So I think Eze against Leicester could score another goal. Minter is a very good option for anybody looking for a cheap winger. Brighton are playing Ipswich at home, so I think you should go for that. Salah, no words to be explained about Salah. And then up front, I've gone for João Pedro against Ipswich, and I've gone for the man himself. I've wild-carded my team, and I've brought in Erling Haaland, and I've got him as captain. He's playing him against Brentford, but I'm kind of feeling to kind of go for Mo Salah as well against Nottingham Forest. But I was thinking about João Pedro against Ipswich. He could bang a hat-trick. You know what I mean? So that is my team, and that's what I think might do well on this weekend. But if I think that Cole Palmer's fit, I might do a last-minute swap and change KDB for Cole Palmer. So there's that.
Ooh, like it. Albert, are you going to go through your fantasy team? That's if you're playing this year, of course.
Well, I'm glad Holly didn't give me any information about that, but that's fine. I'll tell her off again when I see her when she comes back. But I am actually in it though. To be fair, I just managed to quickly get it up on my phone.
Yeah.
It's not a bad choice, I don't think. Anyway. But so I've gone for a 3-4-3, which I might have to tweak because obviously a certain somebody's out for quite a few weeks, which I've not got around to getting him out the team. So, Haaland's a must, obviously, as captain. He's actually my captain last before the national break. A nice hat trick there. But I didn't have in the week before. Stupid mistake. I've actually got Welbs in for Brighton, ex-Arsenal, of course. And I have obviously Saka's in there, Cole Palmer's in there, Smith Rowe's in there, and Semenyo from Bournemouth.
Nice, it's a good one.
Yeah, I like that.
And my defenders, I might have to put him in actually. Livramento, he's on the bench at the moment. But my back three is Mark Gay, Konza, Max Kilman, and I've got he wasn't Bournemouth when I had him. But obviously that he's Arsenal goalkeeper, so yeah. But that will get changed. I've got Nick Pope in goal, but you know what? I might have to move him out because he's not. From what I'm speaking to a couple of Newcastle people, they're not too convinced about him this season, mate. To be honest.
Yeah, I think that's a whole nother conversation for another day. I think about Newcastle because I don't think their window went as planned.
Yeah.
But my team, I got a record high of 79 points the other week because I've been absolutely horrendous. I made more changes than Tupac before the international break. So I might need to make some change. I'm going to wait till Friday, hear what some of the managers have to say about their team news before absolutely nailing down my team. But thus far, I've got Leno in goal as well. So I'm hoping that he does well for me. My back line is Mark Gay, Mark Cucurella, because I think he might actually get some assists for Chelsea, and obviously plays quite regularly as well. I've currently got Ruben Diaz in, thinking clean sheets here. I might keep him in. Obviously, my other option is the Roadrunner, Mickey van der Ven. So yeah, we might keep Ruben Diaz in. I've gone for Pedro Porro. That was one of Nelson's tips, I have to say. Hoping he bags an assist for me at the weekend. My midfield is Bernardo Silva. I just can't not have Bernardo Silva in a midfield. Then I got Mo Salah, who was my captain last week, bagged me 34 points. So thank you to Mo Salah. I've got Andre's not his name, mate. So I've got Amadou Onana in the middle. I think he's just started the season really, really well. My tip for signing of the summer as well. And I've gone for man like Eze. Completely agree with Nelson. I think he's now really going to start to kick on, I think, and strike up a really good relationship, I think, especially with Nketiah. And obviously the relationship he had with Mateta could start to come to fruition. I know Palace have had a bit of an iffy start to the season, but I'm hoping now they'll kick on. Up top, I've got Isak and that guy Welbs. So I put Welbs in, right, thinking that he was going to bag against one of his old clubs because he did it the week before. Swapped him out for João Pedro, and he went and scored. You guessed it, João Pedro. So yeah, I got a decision to make. I think it's either Welbeck or João Pedro, because I think Isak's got a bit more of a favourable game. On my bench, I got Dean Henderson as my backup goalkeeper, and I've also got Mr. Jared Bowen on the bench to chuck in there if and when I need him, because I think again he's started the season really, really well. So yeah, I'm looking at my team, and a lot of them have got really favourable fixtures this coming weekend. So I'm hoping to rack up some more points to get me my position up, because I'm in a relegation battle amongst all the leagues that I'm in at the moment. So obviously for Holly's Hotspur, shout out Alif and William, who are fighting it out in the top two at the moment. Hitting up over best part of 250 points roughly each at the moment. So yeah, they're absolutely smashing it. I might need to get some tips.
They have Haaland
from they've probably got Haaland, Salah, and Saka all in their team as a front three. Absolute cheat codes. But guys, I think that kind of wraps it up for tonight. It was nice and clean, okay, for a change for Derby week, and we got there in the end, people. All right, but blame Holly. It's not our fault. Right, we're going to go around the room, seeing where people can find everybody doing their thing. So Nelson, we'll start with you.
You can find me on Instagram, guys, at nnatumba. That is N and then NTU, as you can see, MBA on the stream 25, nnatumba 25 on Instagram.
Perfect. Uncle Albert, pleasure as always. Where can people find you doing your thing?
Well, you can find me in a short answer here, there, and everywhere, which is actually really true. Actually, to be honest with you,
BBC News.
Yeah. Well,
TNT.
we'll get there. Yeah. Yeah, that was insane, man. To be yeah, Keown obviously. You don't even see one. Crouchy's tall, obviously, but flipping hell, man. You see me in person, like. Someone messaged me and said, "Oh, I thought he was a junior gunner. That's how tall he is." I thought it was quite hilarious, but no, it's a pleasure, man. Yeah, TNT was amazing to do. And obviously, got my own channel, doing the watch along on Sunday. I'm doing a show tomorrow on my channel. So people come and subscribe and check me out. Just type in Albert JTV. I'll come up on all the socials. Well, I should do. If you don't, then there's 2 Albert JTVs. I'm not the other one, trust me.
Brilliant. And where can everybody find me? Well, you should know, of course, by now.
Always.
Twitter's at Wezo10, the unofficial Moussa Dembele fan account. Usually tweeting all things about the best Belgians play in the Premier League. Although one thing I will say on Twitter at the moment, I've been loving the Barclaysman trend. So if anybody's not seen that yet, get on it, because it will just take you back into a really good probably time in your life. So yeah, a lot of nostalgia going down on the Twitter sphere at the minute, so go check it out. Instagram is at Wezo32. I am there, of course, on Sunday. It's Derby Day. I ain't missing this one for anything. And yeah, just make sure that you are subscribing to Holly and keeping up all the good stuff that everybody's doing. For any football coaching stuff in the Milton Keynes area, check out Kofa MK across your socials, and football content, WM32 Football, on your socials as well. Albert, that's a wrap. You might have to come and do the outro for us, but it's a big, massive come on you Spurs for Sunday.
Well, that's not necessarily true, because we're going live on both channels. So for the Arsenal community watching on my side of it, I'll have to apologize now. You go on, Nelson. Go on, son. I have to apologize now for the outro to end the live stream. That is not down to me. But here you go, people. Over and out for North London Derby on Sunday. See you soon, people.
See you soon.